Okay, so if a standing desk is an opportunity for your body to move more, then it's important to take advantage of that opportunity by actually moving at your standing desk. It's very common to just kind of like stay super still or push your body into your desk and just miss out on a ton of the benefits you can get from your standing desk. For my body in particular, one of the big mistakes I made in my desk was starting by standing in a very pelvis pushed forward manner. So when I first got my desk, I tended to kind of stand like so, which is a very common standing alignment. Can you see how my pelvis is way forward of my heels here? If I look down, I can't see my toes at all. So that's super common because most of us are used to wearing footwear and sitting in chairs. And when we wear conventional footwear with heels and sit in chairs, it tends to push our pelvis forward a bit like that. And we'll often lift our rib cage or slouch our rib cage over to kind of compensate for that. But the whole thing ends up being weird and it's not that great for our bodies. So step number one is practice standing with vertical legs, hips over heels. And I've got a video on hips over heels alignment that you can check. Super important to be really clear on that concept. So number one is make sure you're standing hips over heels when you are just standing still. You definitely want to avoid kind of standing in habitual patterns like this. If you spend all day standing like this, that's typically not going to be super great for either of your hips on a long-term going forward basis. So standing square, standing with your hips over your heels, super good first option. And of course, this hopefully goes without saying, if you are wearing shoes with heels, and that includes men's dress shoes as well as women's dress shoes, most shoes have heels, that's going to push your body forward all day long. So getting out of conventional footwear and into minimal footwear is a really good idea if you're going to get a standing desk. You can certainly get cushioned options. I have put a link to a blog post that you can go to learning about footwear in the caption, and you can head over to it right there also. So flat footwear, maybe with a nice cushion. Speaking of a nice cushion, if you are standing all day on concrete, that can be pretty rough on your body. So you may want to consider an anti-fatigue mat to be standing on. The other thing that's helpful though is having some stuff around that will make your terrain a little bit more variable. So I've got a few of my favorite options here. So this is called a Soulmate from the Foot Collective. It's essentially a little bit of a balance beam. It's super versatile. I use mine all the time when I'm on standing desks. So as you can see, I can do some little calf raises. I can stand on one leg. I can give myself a nice calf stretch by just putting my forefoot up onto my Soulmate. Lots of stuff you can do with this simple piece of equipment, and it's quite discreet and undangerous. So that's a benefit in the office. My other options are a bit less discreet. So here's one. If you don't want to spend any money, you can get yourself a nice solid piece of driftwood and make yourself a little bit of a balance beam for your desk as well. So this is one I love. I can't travel with it, so I only get it sometimes. But it really keeps your body moving just to play around on something even as simple as this like literal stick. This is not not a super technical thing, but I can do all of this while I'm typing. It doesn't, because it's not technical. The type of movement you do is less important than the fact that you're doing some moving, and it's almost like fidgeting with your feet. So a driftwood stick works great, but say you don't have any driftwood, a 2x4 is also a good option. Again, this is not super difficult stuff. You just want to give your body something other than the flat and level ground that's what is in every single office. Another really easy, really inexpensive option is some sort of foot ball. This is a yoga tune-up ball. This is a really great brand that I use a lot personally, but you can use a tennis ball. You can even use a lacrosse ball. I don't love them because they are a little too hard for human tissues, in my opinion, but rolling around and stretching your feet out as you work, super easy. You don't need to do anything special. You just need to be moving, and you will intuitively fidget with this kind of equipment as long as you long as you remember to. So having a little bit of a movement practice can help you remember, just because it keeps it top of mind. So in my free For Your Feet program, you can pick up some really easy techniques for rolling on a ball and help you kind of be more aware of that. So you can certainly pick that up, and that will invigorate your standing desk practice. Having a yoga block, also really useful, not as big as a 2x4. So that makes it a good option. I've got so much stuff to show you here. So I often will just stand on my block one-legged. Again, pretty easy to work and lift and lower your hips like this. Really nice work for your hips. Actually, this is really good for hip stability and for your gait. And you can do it very easily while you type. So a yoga block is awesome. Now, if you want to invest a bunch more, this is a tool I really like. It's called a Move Mate. I bought it this year when I visited Toronto. And this is really cool because it's not actually a balance board. It's more like a wave. It's very versatile. So this is definitely the luxurious option, but it feels amazing, and you can totally just play around on this all day long as you work. It feels really nice, and it keeps you more energized because your body is moving more all day long. And it also gives you some dorsiflexion capacity. So, one of the problems for most of us is that we tend to be quite tight through our calves and hamstrings, mostly because we never dorsiflex. We never go up hills, or we rarely go up hills. So spending your workday with equipment that lets you get into this kind of calf stretchy type position regularly can really bring a lot of movement to the backs of your legs and help banish some of that back of the leg tightness. So that's all the equipment that I brought, but really the sky's the limit. As long as you can afford it and you feel like it's not distracting you while you work and it's safe, then you can do many things to make your work movement environment a little bit more enriched. I also like to do simple exercises when I work. And a lot of the time I'll be staring at my computer screen reading an email, and I've got room and time to do a stretch. So one of my favorite standing desk stretches is one I call a crescent stretch. So it's what it sounds like. It's a side bend, but it's a side bend where you keep your hips stable, so you're focusing the work on your upper body. So all you're gonna do is you're gonna reach your hands above you, grab your left wrist with your right hand, and side bend over towards the right, and then come to straight and repeat it the other direction. So I've got my left hand around my right wrist. I'm side bending towards the left. This is not a complicated move, but it delivers a lot of benefits to your spinal mobility and your core. Let me just show you something though. As you reach up, you don't want your ribs to lift up. So ribs stay down, you arc over as though there's a wall behind you. And that's going to give you a more centered approach to your spinal integrity as you side bend. But that crescent stretch is a really nice one for your core, for your breathing, for your spine, and it works really well at your desk. Another one that I find I do a lot when I'm working is the top of the foot stretch. So for that one, all you do is you stand on one leg and reach back with your other foot. You land on the top of the other foot, and then you center your weight over your feet to stretch the front of the back leg. Again, your ribs are down here, shoulders are relaxed. This one's intense, but if you do it all day at work, it becomes much less intense. And obviously it's gonna work best if you're able to work in bare feet, which fortunately I am because I work mostly out of my house. If you have to wear shoes at work, then that's going to be a little bit harder. But you can do this one not at work also. It's a really nice stretch. This one's also in my Free For Your Feet program. So you can get all the details on some of the subtleties if you want to pick that up. And then finally, it can be really nice to do a variety of calf raises at your desk. So calf raises, again, what's nice about them is they're working a lot of the muscles that you would use when you were walking that actually pump blood back from your legs into your heart. So you don't really want your heart to have to be responsible for pulling all that fluid all the way back up to itself all the time. Your calves moving can help support your circulatory system. So doing calf raises at your standing desk is a really great option. I don't have my desk in front of me, but I'll use this stick. And it's nice to have some support for your calf raises because you don't want them to be about balance. So calf raises can be done in many, many ways. But the most simple way is to keep your weight distributed across the entire forefoot. Lift all the way up, lower down, maybe going a little bit slower on the down than the up. So super simple, just making sure to stay nice and aligned, almost like an elevator. So you're going straight up and straight down, like so. Now, if you wanted to get a little fancier on that one, and frankly, I think it's a little harder as well, you could do what's called a horse stance. So a horse stance is a martial arts stance, and I'm not well versed in martial arts, so if I don't get this totally right, please excuse me. It will still give you benefits for your body. What you're going to be thinking about doing here is spreading your legs a little wide, bending your knees a little, and curling your tail under a little to flatten your low back. So feet are a little wide, tail a little curled, knees a little bent, and then this calf raise is all about lifting your knees and your heels without lifting your shoulders. So you're just going to lift and lower. Here again, you're going straight up and down. Your weight is evenly distributed across the balls of your feet. And here it's getting a little more effortful. So you might not want to be having to do some sort of very serious work when you're doing this. You could certainly do this when you're reading your morning emails and give yourself a lot of circulation through the lower leg, through the lower body, supporting your heart and staying in the end fresher and more energetic for your day. So those are just a few very doable ideas that I find I can do a lot at my desk. There's tons more exercises that you can do all day, every day while you work. I'm actually creating a new program called Mini Moves, where I will be sharing 52 equipment-free, super doable ideas that you can do in your workday or through the rest of your life. So keep your eyes peeled for that if you found these ones helpful. And otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this gives you lots of your good ideas to make your standing desk more healthy for your body and to make your workday more energized and even productive, because when your body is feeling better, your mind works better too. All right, thanks so much.